Okay, it's Thursday evening. It's dark. I'm in my bedroom with the lights out because I feel like it. And I'm trying to relax and talk myself through some things because lately I've just been feeling so up and down. And I've been thinking a lot just about how much has changed and reflecting on some of the stuff that I've been working on. I had therapy this morning with my art therapist. Hadn't seen her in a while. And I wanted to check in and talk to her about some blockages that I've been experiencing because I think I'm going into some new territory with myself and how I treat myself, how I talk to myself, who I am. A really big shift of just standing by what it is that I believe in and feeling kind of sick and tired of it at the same time. I just saw 111. It's a full moon in Leo, and I love that it's in Leo because Leo is all about bringing the attention to ourselves. It's Simba, remember who you are. It's the strength card. It's the sun. And Leo also rules the heart, so this is looking within and really getting things in check so that we can be on our side and keep strength and keep focus. And it's almost like we've been talking about Simba for such a long time. I feel like this is where he allows himself to step up onto Pride Rock and realize that he's still worthy, that he is king. Despite how long he has spent almost kind of hidden, hanging with his bros, Hakuna Matata, everything. And it can only work for so long. And no matter how much he Hakuna Matata, he was still really sad. And I think a little bit of that part where he flops down in the grass or whatever and just lets out a big sigh, like he's heavy with his grief. It's like a really big transformation between those two moments. Feeling like we don't belong, feeling like, what's the point? We can lose sight of ourselves. And I like that the full moon brings things to light, that this is toward self, this is toward the heart. Things that we're proud of, the things that we value, showing up authentically as ourselves. And the thing that I love a lot about the tarot storytelling is that Leo is the maiden and the lion in balance. The maiden is nurturing the lion, and the lion could easily just eat her and be done. But he's got a big smile, his tail is between his legs, he's completely submissive. And she's managed to tame the beast, which is to represent that part of ourselves that is capable, possibly of a lot of damage, but when we use it wisely, it's almost kind of extraordinary. It's a display of strength to not resort to hurt, to destruction. So I like this balance because there is some duality there. I've had some moments, someone's revving their engine outside. I've been looking at two cards in particular. I just saw 444. For myself, I've been getting the card proud and shame together. If it's not one of them, it's the other, or they both come out together. And I've had this since, before Christmas? Pride or proud has been pretty dominant. And I don't dislike it. It's a great card. It's a rainbow. It's almost like keeping the hope alive, which another card to mention is the star. The star is Aquarius. We're in Aquarius season, and the star is all about showing up authentically. It's all about vulnerability surrounding that. But it's letting ourselves be seen as we are. It's going with the flow of our emotionals. She has a foot in the water and on the land, and that's usually like a way of saying emotionally stable, going with the flow, but also standing grounded in your ways. The star also represents our hopes and dreams and making those wishes. It's almost like a newness because the star comes after the tower in sequence of the major arcana. And I love that that's sort of how it goes. Like the star is almost stripped bare of everything that used to surround them. And in a way, I kind of feel that where some of my lifestyle is completely different. Even my belief in myself has switched, and in a good way. But looking at where it once was, it's still, I have some moments there where I get kind of mad that even existed, that I didn't see my strength. Like, well, you see it now, so let's keep this intact. The thing I love about the star is that there really is nothing to lose when you make those wishes because you've lost it all already. Maybe some things were ripped out from under your feet, or just necessary things had to fall apart. And sometimes we have to be there to pick up all the pieces, including ourselves. And those barriers that the tower created for us, they weren't helping us grow. They weren't stable to begin with. And I guess realizing that we were trying to call the tower stable to begin with, it can be a bit of a startling realization. Like I wasn't really safe, or maybe I wasn't happy, or just that security. Maybe what we knew before was instability or chaos, even like living in a bit of a state of eggshells with something. It's not stable. It's not meant to stay standing. And I've had some moments of assuming I'm going to lose it all. Like if one thing goes wrong, it's just going to be dominoes and everything's going to fall apart. And I know this comes from a trauma response, and that can create a tower moment in my life where maybe I panic and break down. I don't really, but if I don't have a handle on my emotions, for sure, we can spiral. We can think of all the ways in which things can go wrong and make that happen. Or, I mean, we could even just be aware that something isn't standing. Something isn't right. It's not meant for us. We're not meant to stay here. I gotta go. And even if it's for the better, it's not an easy thing to do, but to strip those walls down and say, I can't do this. I need to rebuild. I need to start from scratch and do this more stably. And by doing it more stably, we need to reach that place of self-awareness. We need to almost just unapologetically go after our dreams, go after the things that we wish for ourselves. They're not silly, they're not immature, they're not childish, they're not just wishy-washy like Disney dreams. I always associate it with when you wish upon a star. Like, why not wish upon a star? Keep those hopes going. It's nice to have some form of hope. And I think with what's going on in the world, creating our own hopes is a great place to start because it's what we have control over. And I've been taking more control over what it is that I love to do. But I have those moments of second guessing and thinking, well, it feels wrong because it is something that feels like it's just for me. It's very special. I'm still figuring out. I always get wrapped up in labels, or how do I even put this out there? What is it that I'm wishing to do? Instead of overthinking all of that, just do. Do the first step. And how do we do that? I don't know. It's not easy, but we have to sort of resort back to the strength card. And remember, we have overcome a lot. So what's up here? Why are we flipping out now? Because it's different. We still need to strengthen those muscles and learn how to navigate through something that maybe we haven't done before. And that's equally exciting as it can be scary. So being mindful of that maiden and the lion, there's this balance that we need to achieve. We need to show up for ourselves and say, okay, if you're fearful, if you're angry, if you're sad, if you're a negative emotion, we'll just say, you are entitled to feel it. We don't cast it aside. Because if we cast it aside, it just intensifies. And that's when we would get bit by the lion, because we're not honoring its feelings. We have to go hand in hand with it. It might hurt to look at what the problem actually is, but why not solve it? Why not welcome it? Why not even bargain with it and say, all right, I'll listen to what you have to say. You don't have to rule my life. You don't have to be fearful. I'm doing my best for you because I care. And that acknowledgement can go a long way. Acknowledging feelings and even just saying, yes, it's okay. When you give yourself permission, it's kind of wild, the things that you see. And they don't feel great. I've been having high anxiety moments. I've been a little bit prickly. I've been asking myself what that is, and I know it's attached to some nerves and some fears that go with that vulnerability of being seen again. Because I'd say my life has been in the tower. The tower moment. That was 2023. It was a very heavy year in a different way than 2022. Like 2022 was where everything fell apart. That was just brick by brick, everything. And it needed to come down. I'm glad I'm not where I was. And I'm glad that I'm rebuilding, and I'm glad that I'm seeing some stability more often than not. And I'm glad that I'm seeing some wins. I'm glad that I'm seeing myself for who I am and standing more firmly in that and being proud of that and releasing the shame. The shame it's not unwelcome. I know where it comes from. Listening to what that shame has to say, making that a practice to say, what do I say to myself when I'm really just trash talking for no good reason? I've been feeling so much resistance going toward the things I want to go after, because it's like, okay, well, I've been bullied for this before. I've had good things taken away from me. So what do? We instantly protect. We instantly almost create the same outcome because our brain is so prepared to keep us alive with what it knows. Like, oh, I've done this before. It cracks its knuckles and it just makes it happen to say, see, we got this. Meanwhile, you're not fulfilling yourself in any way. It's not going after those dreams. It's sabotaging those dreams, and it's keeping you from those dreams. So, deep breaths. It's a lot of hard work to shed that skin and say, hey, we're doing it different from here on. And I know I'm going to trip up, and I know I'm going to have some not so pretty moments, but can I actually say, oh, okay, whoops, won't do that again. Like, I had a funny moment today that it made me kind of sad. I've been drawing the Kardashians for I don't even know what reason. It originally started when I decided to draw Kylie Jenner. I really wanted to draw her, and it wasn't with intentions to make fun of her. But I do find it a little sad that she's 26, and I still can't believe that, considering all that she's done to her appearance. And there's something very Leo about the timing to be drawing Kardashians. Like, you think of Leo, arrogance can be attached to that. And that's when I say, like, every sign is capable of being out of balance, and that could be the downfall of Leo, is to be considered arrogant or self-involved. And I think we can become overindulgent depending what that is, what we're trying to prove. I feel like it can be a disconnect from being authentic. It can be an insecurity that's projecting itself So for that, I wasn't looking at the Kardashians in any negative way. I'm not a fan. I just also don't necessarily hate on them either. Anyway, I drew some pictures. I drew Kylie and then Kendall, and then I drew Chloe. And for Chloe, like in my eyes, I see a very harsh appearance. There's a lot of heavy lifting in terms of how there's just, it almost feels kind of sad, this insistence of perfection, being flawless, being airbrushed, being made up so heavily. Like, where are you? Somebody got upset by how I was approaching it and saying that I was making fun of their faces or their appearances, like to a degree. I mean, there's humor in it, not directly toward that person, but toward this, illusion of perfectionism. And it's kind of a sad, superficial thing that we're seeing in society, and how people want to be flawless, without wrinkles, without any signs of aging, without, I don't know what it is. It's like beauty is not a status. Beauty is not, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to get at. It just seems very heavy-handed. And for what, though? The beauty standard thing. I don't want to go too far into it, but it is really funny to be drawing some characters. Existing people, yes. But this person got upset, and I tried to explain it a little bit without over-explaining. I've really adjusted my boundaries to say, not everyone's going to like this. This is the internet. Everyone has an opinion. I'm going to make some people upset along the way, and maybe that's okay. Comedy's kind of dead, and I've been missing it, and that's partially why I was enjoying drawing these Kardashians. It's like they're characters in my mind. And I'm going to continue drawing them, and I'm going to continue doing things that make me laugh without making it at the expense of others. Like, that's not what this is about either. So, despite kind of explaining what I was after without over explaining, it still bothered me, but they unfollowed. I lost a few followers, and that's fair. I don't know these people. And expressing these opinions, and it's not just this, I'm not referring to this post, it was just an example. And normally I would probably even go to that person and just directly message them and explain myself and apologize, or take the post down and second guess myself or feel like a dick. I had my moments, but I was like, no, I did this for a reason. And it was interpreted differently. And that person is entitled to feel the way that they do toward what I've presented, which is basically what art is. There's some risks there. And that risk is a bold act. It's how artists sort of deliver messages sometimes. But the internet in general, I've been really adjusting my boundaries there, and not needing to explain or even share anything that I don't want to share. It's hard to describe. I'm just not extending in the way that I used to. I've been craving real connections. I've been craving authentic relationships. That's not to say that they don't exist online, but it's not, there's a lot of noise. And like I've been looking at myself in form of the star card, for example. Like, what ways are you stepping out differently that makes you feel maybe a little brand new, vulnerable? She's naked, like it's putting yourself out there in a very it is bold, but it's also delicate. It's vulnerable as fuck, like, to be naked. You can be full of judgment. Like, judgment can come thrown right at you, and you don't have any armor. And yet, this is to say, I don't need any armor. I stand fully as I am, without being combative, without being rude, without resorting to name calling and even fighting back if anybody wants to fight you. Another card that I got in my Seasons of the Witch deck is the Queen of the Dead, I believe it was called. And I love this card because it is all about how you express yourself and how not everyone is going to love it. But it sort of questions some things like, when you step into your power, do you forget your roots? Do you, kind of resort to becoming a dick? We don't want to get a big head about anything. We're allowed and entitled to celebrate our wins, but we don't need to put anyone down in the process. This card, I appreciate it in the sense of saying, not everyone is going to love the changes that you're making for yourself. And if it is for the better, like, keep going, go after that. Embrace all the pieces of yourself. Like, it has a bit of a naughty side to it, I think the book said. And it's embracing, I guess, maybe even like a dark humor. That's how I took it, because that's kind of the direction I was going in with the Kardashians. Like, there's some things that are really sad there, and I don't see them as strengths. I don't see them as anything all that admirable. But aside from Kardashians, with the Queen of the Dead, like, I appreciate that there is that note of transformation. There's a snake on the card. There's shedding the skin. There's going to be a sensitive skin underneath. There's going to be some times where we maybe need to take a pause or slow down the peel of the skin, because we could do more damage if we try and breeze through it. But just like shedding all of the things that don't serve you, looking at the ways that you show up, being unapologetically you as you should be. Another card that I got with the same witch deck is the Black Bear. And I love the Black Bear card because it's all about being authentic. It just kind of solidifies that message. And the Queen of the Dead also made me think of the Strength card in terms of how we take the beauty and the beast. We take both. We are both. And how can we be both without, with proper control of the lion and control of the maiden as well. Like, the lion can come to that maiden's rescue, let's say, and we need that lion in certain moments. It's not the greatest, but if we're gonna stand up and speak for ourselves, that's where the lion steps in. I sometimes have a hard time with that, but at the same time, it's like, you know yourself better than anyone knows you. And you don't have to over-explain if someone misinterprets. You don't have to step away from being yourself because it makes someone else uncomfortable. I like the themes of authenticity, and I guess that's why the Kardashian stuff, the timing of it, like, I didn't intentionally go after it and say, oh, there's a full moon in Leo coming, I should draw people that are known for pride. They have things to be proud of, absolutely. Look at what they have. But is it really that beautiful? And beauty isn't just a strength. Like, that's not the only thing that makes us strong. And beauty isn't just an external thing. Like, the most beautiful person in the world can become ugly based off of how they present themselves or act towards other people. If you're taking everything out on everybody, it's not nice. But I've been seeing this online, like this projection energy. And the Black Bear card does warn about anybody with low energy vibes. Like, we're staying away from it. Don't let anyone provoke you. Don't let it knock you off the course. Like, we don't have time for it. And the Black Bear, I appreciate that it is another symbol of strength, but there's like rest involved. We're still in hibernation mode. We're kind of like emerging from the thick shell of what January was, because holy shit, deep freeze, everybody had to go into hiding, and that's spending time in the home and with ourselves. And I guess this is why there's so much deep digging that I've been doing and going within and having that time and healing the necessary things and saying, all right, it is a new year. Not necessarily new year, new me, but from the past few years, absolutely, I can feel a shift. Like this year has to be different. And I've told myself it has to be different. We're doing things different. And I've been doing things differently for a while. Like I turned my Instagram profile private for a reason. I don't really engage much on there as I used to. My community has kind of disappeared, but it's also, I think I'm also rebuilding it. My friendship circle isn't the same. My community, there's familiarity, but there's a lot of new stuff coming out too that I haven't seen before. And letting myself be part of that this year is very, very intriguing, to get back into markets, to seek real connections. That authenticity is a big highlight. And I wasn't expecting that, but this came to light with the full moon and all these cards. And backtracking, even going back to shame, where shame is self-inflicted. Shame is like self-related versus like guilt is the behavior. So like the behavior is I did something bad toward the self. Shame is saying I am a bad person. To keep ourselves separate from the things that we want to do, however it is that we tell ourselves we're different. Being different is unique. Looking at the star, like the star is unique in her own way. She just shows up as is. And you could even say she is just as strong as strength in a very different way, because vulnerability is strong as fuck. It's hard to believe in yourself at all times when you don't know what you're doing, but the strength is in the resilience. So I love all of these cards. I love that the black bear showed up because I am feeling a little bit like a bear. I want to stay home and curl up and sleep until winter is over. But this is about going within and just getting all the bare necessities and like what you know you need to have a restful season. We're allowed to rest. It is winter. This isn't the time to go powering through. I'm more or less setting my goals for Aries season, the spring, when things come to life, when that growth actually emerges and pokes through the soil. We are still in the planting stages, but the planting stage, starting with strength, like that's a good seed to plant. It's like planting sunflowers. Oh, I like that. Because sunflowers are Leo. They're on the sun card. I haven't really talked about the sun card, but we know about the joy involved. It's celebration. It's emerging and like getting out there. And I'm almost looking forward to the summer. It's something to look forward to. There's a lot of hope. And I don't want people to lose hope because there's a lot that has knocked us out. Convinced us maybe to not pursue those things, because when things get bad, they get bad. But along the way, you look at it and you think, wow, I've overcome that and I've overcome that. Some of this is teaching us to be stronger. And I think there's a lot of power in that, to think of what we're capable of doing now with the experience that we have. I'm pretty stoked by it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens once we get through winter. And I kind of grumble about it because we still have like 2 months left of it. Feels like January 40th, but we did it. We're doing it. It's going to be totally fine. But maybe make some lists of the things that you're proud of, the things that you've accomplished, the things that you have succeeded at versus the things that you haven't. We are putting shame in a new place. Shame needs empathy. Yes, you've been hurt. Yes, you've been through a time. Yes, you've had your ass handed to you way too many times. But those places that fell apart, you weren't meant to stay there. You were meant for bigger and better things, way better things. And I think receiving those things can be tricky. Because there is a grief phase. Like, we look back at the things we had, and sometimes it's like, damn, I wish the people I cared about could be here for this. Those people, whether they be gone or maybe they're just not in our lives anymore, we move on, we grow up, we drift apart. Those things are good to honor. Those things are good to keep in your heart. And I like the reminder of Leo in the heart space. We need to connect with our hearts. It's what keeps us strong. The things that we love, it keeps us going. And sharing your heart in the right place. It'll be interesting to see the ways that you allow yourself to receive back exactly what you put out there. My dogs are taking some deep breaths, and I need to turn the heat down because I'm feeling too warm to go to sleep. But these are some pretty solid messages, and I don't want you to hold back from realizing your power. Don't let it go to your head, of course. Don't be a dick about it. We don't need to be a dick about it. But you are more than entitled to stand in your power. To say that you know what you know because you've been working your butt off, or you just know who you are inside out, and this is the way. Whoever disagrees, I mean, it's unfortunate that they can't come along with you, but maybe they'll adjust with time. Sometimes that happens. People don't like change, and they're just like, well, fuck you. And then they realize, oh, this is just how it is now. And if they embrace you as you are, perfect. But that risk really sucks. It sucks more when we deny the fact that we need to move on. So I'm happy that I'm not in the place where I was a couple years ago, because it wasn't at all fit for me. And that's not to say I didn't belong or that I don't belong. I just belong elsewhere. And I look forward to seeing what that looks like, especially for this year, because we deserve it. So keep going, keep growing, drink lots of water. And I'm just going to say it. You're going to be totally fine.